We've got a man sitting here and he's dying to get into all of this. His name is Greg Graham. But first of all, let me tell you this. The 30-year fixed-rate mortgage rate is now down to, I think it's an all-time low, certainly the lowest in decades, 4.44%. Here is Greg Graham. He's the Chief Executive Officer of OwnAmerica.com. That's a real estate investor company. Just launched, right? Okay,
yeah, that's right.
Get to that in a minute. 4.44%.
What did we all think was going to happen when the government stopped buying mortgage-backed securities back in, what was it, March? Everybody thought that as soon as the government stopped stimulating that market, rates were going to go up.
Right.
But when they did that, rates have actually gone down, which tells you the private sector was waiting in the wings, does still see basically the housing market, which is what mortgage-backed securities is investing in, as being something worth getting into.
Look, Greg, look, the news from the housing market, you're trying to spin it, and you
No, it's lousy. Okay, let me give you what you asked for.
Terrible news.
The news in the housing market is terrible. What is killing me is that the home buyer tax credit, for example, another example of government intervention that gave us basically a rush in the spring, and now it's given us a roller coaster ride. And the end result of it is it's actually damaging consumer confidence. It's causing everybody to wonder, did anything that happened this year that was positive mean anything, or was it all stimulated by the economy?
It's because there's no urgency. We have 4.44%. This is the lowest on record right now. And yet in August, mortgage applications rose less than 1% in the first week. So you got rates at all-time lows, and mortgage applications are not moving. There is no urgency because, Stuart, interest rates are still going to continue to fall. They might as well. Home prices are certainly still going to fall.
Exactly.
Why should I move?
Why should I buy a house if I think that next month it will be cheaper?
Well,
and
the people
after that's going to be cheaper still.
Home buyers, the driving force behind home buyer decisions is when they want to buy a house, when they have the money to buy a house. It's life decision kind of stuff. In the last couple of years, during the boom, you had people who were moving much more frequently because they were jumping in, trying to get more lifestyle out of their household purchases. That kind of stuff is off to this wayside. What's happening now, though, is that year to date right now, we're approaching 20% of all the homes, all the residential properties being sold in the country are by investors. Just north of 25% are all cash buyers.
Really?
All right, so there's quietly under the surface right now an investment boom starting to percolate, which is why I started Own America, because the only urgency out there in the housing market right there are those people who have seen the stories about 4 million foreclosures in the pipeline, and they see that as basically an alarm bell saying this is the opportunity of a generation to buy under market property.
I want to explain to the company that investors clearly go along with me. My point is that the best investment in America today is a single-family home in a good neighborhood, and 20% of home buyers agree with me and are investing.
And part of the reason is because of redistribution of income, which I'm going to talk about later in terms of Section 8. Now, Section 8 is a program. We saw riots in Atlanta. That's what I'm talking about later. Yesterday, about people who want to get into this HUD program where the government actually subsidizes the homeowner to rent the home out to low-income families. Is this on the rise?
Yeah.
The tendency of HUD right now seems to be to want to sort of tip the scales and become the nation's leading landlord. But, and this is not me sucking up to the host here, but it's true that right now, one to four family housing is very, very hot right now because the rental market, you know, home ownership is going down. They're not moving back into tents. Okay, home ownership is down, rentals are up, rental households, and they want to live in 1 to 4 family houses, not apartment buildings. That's
Look at this number. I'm chucking a number up on the screen. I believe 18.9 million. That's how many homes are vacant. In the United States of America, that's almost 19 million homes vacant.
Yeah, but
you ever see anything like that?
Over 21% have negative equity. Single-family homes, 21% have negative equity. So this is why there's no urgency. You can't rely on the investors to pull us out.
No, you're right. Well, no, I'm not relying on anybody to pull us out of it. What I'm focusing on, it's not my responsibility to solve the housing markets crisis. Okay, I see my responsibility of giving good advice to people who are looking at this. For example, 1 in 4 or 1 in 5 are underwater. A third of all the households in this country are paid off. There is right now, just about 20% of all the refinances being done by Freddie Mac right now are cash-in refinances, people who are putting more money in.
Bottom line, though, is that you're picking the bottom now. You're saying this is the time to get in. More or less, this is the bottom.
It's going to dip again, and that's going to be an overcorrection.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
He's been saying it for 2 years. All right. Own America.
This is the bottom for 2 years.
OwnAmerica.com.
I bet you he'll get the bottom, though, before it's over.
OwnAmerica.com. Greg Graham. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
All right. If you raise the tax on cigarettes, will it bring in revenue? Will it bring in you more money?